here today on the big fish set, and I'm wondering, will we catch the fish?
You heard that? That was the big fish.
Filming at Spectre was a lot of fun, and figuring out what that scene would look like was actually kind of a difficult process. Because when we got there, I knew the kind of place it would have in the story, but it was mainly just treated as getting B-roll. As a lot of this shoot was. A lot of Night Terror was just getting B-roll and figuring out kind of in the edit, alright, how do we turn this B-roll into a story? How do we get these shots of Max Peterson in different locations, pondering or looking mournful or looking happy and celebratory in subtle ways, and then piecing this together as part of the edit. I mean, a lot of that was manufactured in the edit, and I filmed it with intention, but some of that I wasn't quite sure, alright, how exactly is this going to play into the final movie until the end? And Spectre was, of course, very much the same. I got there and I knew, alright, this character is looking at this town that he came from. We're hinting at this rags to riches story. He's looking at the ruins of the village he grew up in, and he's happy that he got out of there. You see this kind of... It's not that he's looking at these ruins with hate, but he's so happy that he's back in the city where he belongs, and that now he has this tower, and he's finally introducing wealth and beauty into his life in a way that he never grew up with. And all of that nuance I tried to capture with the footage. But we got way more footage than we needed, and the initial edits of Night Terror included a 2-minute long sequence of all this B-roll from Spectre, where I'm looking at the animals, I'm looking at the ruins, and there's these close-ups of my eyes as I'm just narrowing them and looking around with disgust. And it dragged on for way too long. And I knew that, and I knew I had to cut it down, but I wasn't exactly sure what to do with it. Or do I keep it 2 minutes and add a voiceover section? Because that's something I flirted with, but it felt just way too on the nose when I added voiceover. And just hearing Max voice his thoughts, I mean, you know what he's thinking, and you can put it together yourself as an audience. And I didn't want to insult the audience by telling them exactly what Max was thinking, because I think the context clues are enough.
I think having, like, for instance, like, if you did do it and had this kind of internal monologue, it could have been a moment maybe where you get some straight up, like, exposition from Max, and we get a little bit more about, like, how does he see himself? You know, I think you could have done that, but at the same time, I think you also should have, if we did go down that route, I think it would have made more sense to have him have this internal monologue from the start, and maybe write that in throughout the story. Because it's not bad, it wouldn't be bad to have it all of a sudden, but I think it just kind of works. The way it's implemented in the final movie, I think, is the best way to do it without changing, like, other aspects of the film kind of drastically. And I think there's some value in just kind of showing it and just kind of having, like, we're told, like, okay, he's visiting his old town, right? And I think just seeing the state of it and seeing it's rural, it's falling apart, it's poor. I think just giving you that gives you some insight into, like, this character and, like, their journey. And it makes you fill in a lot of your own dots about, like, how do they get from this to that? And, like, I it doesn't say it outright, and it doesn't really need to, because I think it is a moment where it's kind of fun to say, okay, well, like, what turned this kid who grew up here into this guy? Did he face hardships along the way? And, like, what does that justify at all? I think it's kind of a moment where the audience is just kind of given this moment to kind of get to make up their own, part of the story. If they want to.
So I really like what it adds in its final form. It's just like I don't even think it's a 30-second long sequence, but we get the best footage from the scene, and no voiceover, just a little music. You hear that phone call where Max just says, I wanted to be reminded of how far I've come. And with that, and putting it in context with the rest of the story, you know everything you need to know.
Like, reusing sets, I think, is cool, and, like, to have this preserved, and then to be reused in a way that's different than, like, the original intent. It makes it still feel unique, because the set is obviously very different from when it was, finished almost 20 years ago. Even though it was made to look run down, it's just naturally, like, run down. You're thinking. You're looking around. You're not impressed. You're shaking your head like, yes, I've come far. I'm from so far from this filth.
Exactly.
Like, the goats are... Don't be alarmed. The goats are as close as they've ever been.
Goats approaching us at rapid speeds.
I mean, unless you're, like, the huge Big Fish fan, I think, like, you wouldn't know that this is, like, another set. Like, you might think this is just some old pioneer town or something.
That's what I like about it. It almost feels like like we're shooting on location. We didn't build the set.
Yeah.
So.
But it's free set, free real estate. And the goats, I mean, that's something, I don't think there were goats in that movie.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to see Peterson come from this kind of small town, one that's, impoverished, and to see how far he's come, and like what lessons did he learn? Did he take really anything from it? Did he take the correct things from it? Peterson is definitely like a bitter person. And I think that stems from his childhood.
Some of these building shots aren't super sexy, but it's good B-roll to have.
Yeah, I mean, because even if you're just cutting through and they're there for like a second, if even that, you have all this, and
exactly.
it's good to have.
Exactly, that's how I'm viewing it, and it's so pretty. And
the goats.
I wish the goats were here. Wow, beautiful creatures.
Good news is we got goats coming towards us.
Oh, can we get the Monty Python shot, but it's just the goats coming towards us?
I hope so. I pray. They're communicating. I mean, I think Spectre was just cool to, to reiterate, I think just having this other film set that's been, preserved to the best of its ability and being able to use it again in a different way is really cool. I think it's this sort of, I know some people don't like it, but I think it's cool when, a prop gets reused kind of in a different way. And I don't think it lessens either of them. I think it's just, it's cool.
I feel like I keep saying it, but just I love how much just genuinely showing locations as they are affected this movie. The honesty that it gave this production, I think, is really cool to me still. Because I'm just so used to filming in parts of a room and trying to kind of say, all right, we're filming in someone's basement, but let's make it not look like a basement. Or we're filming in a house, let's make it not look like a house. We're in this business office building, but let's make it look bigger than it really is. It's and I'm used to kind of all these things. And with Night Terror, pretty much every location you see is supposed to be the location that it is, and with some exception, but pretty much there's a genuineness to how all these locations are shown, and that extends to Red Mountain. And a lot of the things that we say in the script are true. 100 years ago, it was the entrance to this mine shaft, and now it is just ruin, clearly. I mean, and that's just a fact. This is a film where we're presenting a lot of things as they actually are, and these ruins, everything we say about them, are pretty much true.
Yeah.
And I love that we can represent that. I hope with honesty. It's framed by fiction, but I think it's nice to be able to make a film that I hope has something genuine that the audience can feel. Yeah. And I think these locations, both this and Spectre, even though Spectre's a movie set, I think there's something genuine about actually showing something the way it is.
Yeah.
They say write what you know when it comes to writing advice, and I think filmmaking is. I mean, it's the same thing.
We're showing stuff, but I hope there's some imagination and wondering more about this setting and these characters. And that's the truth.
And I love being able to use that as part of the story, being able to use these ruins of this once thriving business to represent the fact that maybe Max's business might become ruins before too long.
You remember the blood sample, the one we sent to test our new equipment?
Yeah.
So true. You remember the blood sample, the one we now I messed up. Okay, let me from the top. You remember the blood sample, the one we sent to test our new equipment?
Yeah, is everything up and running? It's a long scene to do kind of all at once. We didn't split it up.
No, we didn't. And I think like I said, if you're willing to intercut it, because there's, at least in my opinion, there are some where it's I really like my very first line,
right? And
then there's others where it's the whole rest of it is good, but I don't like the first line.
Well, I'm looking out for you. I want to make the best film possible.
Yeah.
So I'm going to look for your best lines.
Max, why'd you insist on meeting here?
Well, I was thinking about this place. 100 years ago, these mine shafts were a symbol of industry in this city. They were a monument of progress. But now all that's left is rumble.
I'm sorry.
Rumble.
It's not that. I'm not making fun of you. It's just that there was the rumble and there was the silence as it dawned on you.
That's rough. But now all that's left is rubble and ruin.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm an asshole, I know.
But now all that's left is...
I'm sorry, let me walk it off. I'm so sorry. I know. Like I said, I'm sorry. I feel so bad.
It's okay. This is the last take. We can afford it.
I need to...
We haven't broken while filming yet. This is amazing.
No, I mean, we didn't break last time. It was just bound to happen.
It was. No, it should happen. Get it out of your system.
I mean, this is like behind the scenes moment, like the bloopers. You know, come on, dude. I mean, I'm being cool here. You're the one. No, we're good. I'm okay.
Once we get out of those lines, this could be the death of me, huh?
I didn't want to say it.
I think we did.
We did it. Like, let's get out of here.
Sure about those numbers?
What if you really see the introspection there?
Sure about those numbers?
I was wrong. Do it like you were doing.
I'm sorry. You're sure about these numbers?
Sure as hell. I don't know how I feel about that, but we got some takes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not proud of what I just did. You're sure about these numbers?
Sure as hell.
I mean, I think epic and based, I mean, if I may.
I mean, I think The Office is nice just because it's like this kind of built-in set where, you know, you may have an idea of like, man, I want The Office to have this colors and this background painting and all that. But really, I think for a lot of filmmakers, it's like, I just want to have access to something that looks like an office and is convincingly an office. And I think what's great about those kinds of places you can rent out is, I mean, it looks like a conference room meeting in a big building because that's what it was.
Let's just run through it one more time. Okay. Maybe two more times. See how we feel. The sunglasses are good. I was going to ask you to take them off, but they're good.
Yeah, are they a little too feminine for a private investigator?
How about take it off just to see how it looks?
I thought, that it might be a little more inconspicuous.
I like the glasses a lot. I thought it was a good choice.
I think so too. What if he took them off at a specific time?
It's a little more of a disguise.
Or
You
put
could
'em
say,
on
can you do that for me? And I could say, I can do that for you.
That's it.
Yeah, you want that?
That's
CSI Miami, yeah.
Yeah,
I like that.
Callback.
All right, we can do that.
I like that. That's good.
Thank you.
Right? I think we got it on your shots.
Good.
Let's turn the camera around. You're off the hook for being on camera for now. So there's just
Well,
a couple.
I'll still be on camera.
Yeah, we might get.
Only, like-
We might do it over the shoulder.
Yeah,
Can you do that, Smith?
I can do it.
Yes, I'm gonna do it. But other
I
than-
think you were just moved by my performance.
Yeah. Alex, how do you feel about that? Is that the last take?
I think so. I mean, I'm pretty happy with, I guess just get a picture of me looking into this camera. I do feel professional.
Do you want to give some like directing notes?
I mean,
Oh,
really?
you knew how the sun was coming through these leaks. It's beautiful.
Wow, thank you. That is really beautiful. I guess, good work. I mean, I think it may not seem like much, but I think there's a lot of little things going on with this. Like I said, just the angle kind of depicting how Max feels in this moment, nonchalant movements from Paul, manic movements from Joe. I think you could really analyze this scene a bit. It's a short scene, a lot of work's gone into it though. This could be the next Spielberg, this is the next Indiana Jones, the next, Chaos Encounter of the Third Kind. Keep rolling, I'm not done. Stuff with Grandicing.